Today, during Spinal CSF Leak, I want to speak to you briefly about a trick or a tool that I found helped me during my Spinal CSF Leak journey. If it speaks to you or makes sense to you, read a little more about it online or try some online sessions. Or, like me, you can simply add mindfulness to your day in its simplified form, where and when you can, to go beyond yourself and escape. Mind the Gap, Mindfulness and Meditation during illness. So here you are. The gap yawns out large and loud before you and behind you. You feel that you are not where you want to be with a diagnosis or a treatment plan that is going to return you to yourself. And the gap stretches out far behind you. You are not where you used to be with a life and the activities that filled your busy days. You have lost yourself and who you used to be, with no idea of who you are going to become. Looking back is painful. There is no closing that gap. It has already happened. As a friend said to me, "Don't look back. That is not the direction you are headed." Yet the gap looms large in front of you also. You are not where you want or need to be. You need to be active and pain-free with a life that you can call your own. In addition, the pain and illness and questions become the focus of your days. Will I find a physician who will give this pain a name? Am I in high pressure or am I in low pressure? What test is the next and best one for me? How do I make friends and family understand? Will this come back again? Although there are diverse and verifying symptoms with spontaneous intracranial hypotension, those who suffer have in common the pain, the overwhelming sense of loss, and the frustration associated with getting a timely diagnosis, treatment, and a cure. So in the face of this huge gap in your life, how do you find some peace and strength? How do you mind the gap? The first time I heard about mindfulness, it brought me back to childhood and my mother's reminder to mind your manners just before we entered the house of friends or family. It brought memories of being careful to remember to not put my elbows on the table during supper or to not forget to say please and thank you. Being mindful meant a certain constant vigilance and awareness in order to get things right. At my first introduction to mindfulness, I was given a Hershey's Kiss and told to sniff it before popping it into my mouth, where I should hold it and savor the taste and the sensation of the melting chocolate. I could get the point of being in the moment, and minding the chocolate was better than minding my manners, but I didn't find it translated into any action in my life. Mealtimes remained semi-chaotic with an emphasis on who would help with the dishes. I kept searching for some relief, some way to expand this life that was so limited by my illness. It was taking a long time to bridge the gap, and I needed something now to make the wait tolerable. I tried a meditation group, but fell asleep during the session. The instructor informed me during the debrief afterwards that that was not the intended goal, even though I was happy enough with the outcome. I joined the free Deepak and Oprah 21-day meditation challenge online, and although I found the daily meditation became a sort of me time, when I put on my headphones and no one would disturb me, I did not find mantras translated into support in my everyday life. I found online meditation helped in the moment, but not something that I ended up applying in my hard days. Somehow, somewhere that I can no longer remember, I read about mindfulness using the 5 senses. I could focus on these senses easily enough. What I could taste, what I could smell, what I could see, what I could feel, and what I could hear in my present time and space. It was a small thing that really started on small and short walks. Instead of filling my head with ruminations on my illness or my next test or my next appointment or disappointment, I expanded my world by going into myself and grounding myself in the current moment. So I would slowly walk the trail by my house and work on my power of what I came to call 5 by 5. 5 things that I could find with each of my 5 senses. 5 things I could taste. This one is always a challenge that I throw in, but I throw it in anyways. Finding 1 or 2 is an achievement. 5 things I could smell. Another challenge that becomes easier over time as our minds and noses get used to the task. 5 things I could see. On my walks, I would choose a color, green, red, blue, and search, for example, and search, for example, for 5 different shades of green in the world around me. 5 things I could hear. This has become my favorite, and the one that I always save for last. From chirping birds to rumbling trucks, the sounds of the world around me open up to me during this quest. Being grounded in my moment or my activity somehow gave me release, perhaps partly because it kept me from ruminating on my troubles, or perhaps it made me aware of the beauty and complexity of the world around me. I can't tell you, I am no expert on the topic. For me it worked, and I found a little joy again in my days. I began to use the power of 5 by 5 at night. I would go through each sense, retasting the toothpaste, sniffing out the cooked onions from supper, the detergent smell from my pillow. Seeing with my eyes closed became making sense of the lines and squiggles and vague shapes behind my closed eyelids. It reminded me of cloud watching, and I attached names to the images as I had attached animals to cloud shapes as a child. Feeling the touch of my bed sheets around me and the coolness of the pillow against my cheek. Trying always to make it to a count of 5 things. Then, as always, finishing with my favorite, searching for sounds, listening for the hum of the electric heater, the wind in the trees outside my home. In the listening and the waiting for new sounds, I relaxed and felt connected to something other than my illness. Somehow, in doing this, I also found sleep. Being mindful in my days in this way did not close the gap or build a bridge across it, but somehow it kept me from falling into that expanse of that gap. What worked for me because it was simple and easily applied in my day may not work for others, but I speak of it because I hope that it may also help you on your journey, and because it is always impossible to refuse a request from Azadeh and Bahare, the incredible founders of Spinal CSF Leak Canada. Of course, reaching out for support from others, family, friends, others with the illness, and a counselor are important components in minding the gap. Thanks for listening and taking the time. I wish you all well and wish you a prompt closure of your gap. Stay safe.